Good. Okay. So this person has a complete interface to control every visual on the screen. And another difference is you can notice the lights balls, and also the color of the floor that this astronaut is working on. It's kind of the color of it is changing with the music itself. It's not directly controlled by the performer. So it's actually another way to do VJs, just tie the music directly to the visual and also have an interface to control it. This gives you a greater control and also save you a lot of trouble. You don't have to like manipulate everything, changing everything. Something is doing automatically for you. And this interface is called it's built by a program called Touch OSC. You can customize everything on this interface, like how long the slider is, where do you put this button at. If you have time, we can introduce it in later sections because it's kind of advanced. You have to write a lot of nodes in the blueprints to kind of connecting this to Unreal Engine. But hopefully we can talk about this in a later section. Yeah, it's pretty cool to do this. You can zoom in and you can slow the pace down. And the third one, it's a big experiment. So it's more like a musical video rather than a live performance, but it's still worth watching, I think. This is also built by Unreal Engine. And this is actually one of the professors from ITP. And he has done a lot of VJ piece in the past, and I also took his class. So very inspiring. There's really no rules of like saying you should always follow the beats of the music or always be synchronizing with the music. It's really about expression and be really creative. Okay. And yes, it's kind of long. You can also I'll share this document to the Slack later after class, so you can kind of find this inspiration and resource I find very useful while I'm learning Unreal Engine in this document. So what is VJ? Why not? So I'm also planning to do a live performance here today with Coco here as my DJ, and I'll be a VJ using Unreal Engine here. Yeah, as I said, rather than talking about all the definition of what is a VJ, why not just to show you guys what's really like to performing live using Unreal. So but are you ready? Is that audio?
Also gonna like live coding with title side code.
Yeah, so the music it's not pre-recorded or anything, it's kind of live coded music by Coco. So And by the way, this is the Unreal Engine interface, which we will learn after we finish the little performance. Yeah. Oh, and this is kind of what all the blueprints that we're gonna learn. Look what it looks like. Um, it's kind of all the doodles. That's what we're gonna learn later. Yeah. Is there sound? Okay. Start. Oh, okay, plenty. That's it. Um, Still keep going. You may notice that I have a notebook of all the control that I'm just pressing. Basically, I'm just pressing my keyboard. There's also each key is corresponding to one kind of interaction. Like when I press the I key, this column will like emerge from the ground, and when I press the C key, there's a lights coming out from the character. Uh, and I can also control the size of the character by pressing B or it doesn't work. Okay. By pressing the B key, it kind of become larger and can make it also make it smaller. It's really about it's like freestyling. I don't have a script of when should I make the character larger or smaller. I'm just kind of hearing what my DJ is performing and kind of do a visual that's kind of goes well with the music. Um, that's it for this little performance. So why don't we start with Unreal Engine? So let me close this. Yeah. Yeah, you can. You need a plugin to analyze. Just me completely controlled by me pressing the keyboard. That's it. It's kind of like hard coding it without. Mhm. Yeah, yeah, all of these particles. When I press it, it spawns. But there's also a way you can make it spawn automatically based on the volume of the music. You need a plugin for that. And with that plugin, I think you can just play Spotify music on a laptop, and you will hear whatever songs playing, and then do all sorts of crazy thing in the virtual world. So, but me myself, I also haven't learned that how to use that plugin. So for now, I'm just pressing the keyboard. Um, Let me close this program. Save it. So if you have your Unreal Engine on laptop, you can follow me along. If you don't have it, it's also okay. You can just watch me doing demonstration of how to build some simple interaction using the Unreal. So how many of you have already have Unreal on your laptop? Okay, okay, couple of you, nice. So we're gonna start with the blank project from the scratch. Just double click on Unreal Engine to open that. Takes a while. And you may notice during the performance, sometimes on my laptop get freeze because probably it's also recording the Zoom and screen sharing at the same time. It will happen all the time during performance. Sometimes my Unreal Engine even crashes. I have to restart it. Just if that happens, if you are performing, just try not to be panic because sometimes not audience won't even notice it. When you ask them, "Oh, did my engine crash? Do you notice that?" And audience say, "What? What do you mean by that?" And just keep going what you're doing, and it's not a big deal. And so if you open the Unreal Engine, whatever version it is, you can see all of these tabs, which are different categories of things like pre-built templates. Unreal Engine is kind of a really versatile program. You can build architecture, automobile, simulation, film, video, and games. Probably the most used templates. And the first person, third person depends on what you want to do. So for today, we're gonna start with a blank templates. And here on the right side, we're gonna choose blueprints rather than C++. We choose blueprints here. And we're gonna enable the starter content to check this starter content box here. It just give us some actual like tables and chairs that pre-built by Unreal that can we just use directly. And we don't have to enable the ray tracing. Ray tracing is just something that make the graphic looks better, like the reflection of the water, that kind of stuff. But it's kind of heavy, which is kind of unnecessary for what we're gonna build. You can save it in a location you want, and you can name it whatever you want, but you cannot have space between the names. So VJ class, and click create. It might take a while to create the file. But if you do not like, we did not enable the ray tracing or that kind of thing. But if you want to enable it afterwards, you can always do so once you have that project. Okay, any questions for now? Are you able to open the new project? Yes, no, okay. But once you open it, here I'm gonna just teach you some very basic of how to navigate around this space. If you use any 3D software before, like Unity, 3D or Blender, or just play a video game before, you are just be familiar with how to move, like pressing WASD, forward, backward, go sideways. And also pressing Q, you can go downward, and pressing E, you go up. That's how you kind of move in the space. Oh, and by the way, you have to press the right button of your mouse to be able to move. Yeah, that's how you go to wherever you want. And while pressing the right button, while you scroll this middle mouse like scroll, you can increase the speed of you or decrease the speed like this. Notice I'm just scrolling backwards, so I'm moving really slow. This is necessary if you want to like precisely adjust the position of something. You might want to go very slow, and if you want to go very fast, you can scroll it forward while you're holding the right mouse. That's just some shortcuts. Let me think what else. And here on the top left side, there's a cube with a plus sign. You click it, and there's a drop down menu. You go to shapes. There's a simple geometric shapes you can just throw into the world, like for example, a cube. Now I have a cube. Let's go slower. With the cube, you can look at these 4 tabs here. The first one is just selecting. And the second one, which is the shortcut, is W. You hit W and you can move it on its X, Y, and Z axis. Like this. And the other one is rotation. You can press E as a shortcut to rotate it in different ways. And scaling them by pressing R. Like manipulate it to make a different shape. That's some basic control. So let us make a new level. So the whole thing, like these mountains and skies, are a level. A level just contains everything that you see in the virtual space. So because we don't want these mountains in our performance, we want to start with something from the scratch. So you can open your content drawer at the bottom left corner. You can also open it by pressing Control Space. It's a shortcut, or Command Space in your Mac. And then you can make a new folder by right-click New Folder. I'm gonna name it Level. So I'm gonna put my new level in this folder. So always trying to organize your file, because as your project become larger, you have tons of different kinds of files. You really need to keep it very organized and with the proper naming convention also. You right click the empty space here and you choose level, and you can call it whatever name you want, like performance space. That's my level. And then you can just double click and open it. It's gonna direct you to save whatever you have in this current level. You can save it. What is this? So after you double click it, you are entering the new level you just created, which is a completely dark level because you don't have anything in it. So let us do some lights for this level because we cannot see anything. So you still want to click this cube with the plus sign, and here you can see there's a place actor panel. You click this, and this whole panel will be docked to the side, so it's just easier for you to drop and drop. And here you click lights. The first thing you may want to add is the directional lights. It is just like the sunlight. It has a single source, like shining to all the space. Right now, even if I put that light into a level, they're still dark because lights need something to reflect upon. Like in the real world, we can see all this color because they are reflected. So let's go to here. Look at this 3-star icon. It's visual effects. Let's go to visual effects and add sky atmosphere. So when we add it, we will have a like an atmosphere above us, and that reflects the sunlight. But you may notice that like below it, it's still dark because we don't have things to reflect the lights below the sky. So we need to add something else. And that is this exponential height fog. And when you add a fog, the whole thing will instantly become light up because the light can bounce off this fog and will make you see clearly what's around you. So, and you can also explore something else here in the visual effects, like the volumetric cloud. If you drag that, you also have cloud in the scene. Here, and let's. So now I have the sky and the fog and the clouds. Let us create let's go back to the shapes panel here. Good, and let's add a planning. A plan is just like a ground for you to have something on about. It's like where I can stand upon. So let's make it larger. You can also see in the detail panel. Under the detail panel, there's a transform tab. Under transform, there's a scale. You can scale it up like 20 by 20 by 20. So you have a larger plan to work with. And then I can drag my cube into it. So I have something more interesting here. Maybe a cylinder here. A sphere here. So what else about the lights? Okay, here in the outliner, you want to keep your things organized because you will start to have hundreds of things in your outliner when you expand your project. So you want to make them into some folders and categorize them. For example, I want to make all my lights components into the same folder. I can just command or control and click them. These are all my components that relate to the lights. Highlight them, right click, and click move to. Create the new folder called lights. And so it's properly organized. And here, let me do something that's more interesting. For example, when I click the fog, in the detail panel, you can always adjust the specific like numbers of like the density to increase it. You will notice the difference in the sky. Like the color of the scattering color doesn't do anything. Something in the exponential high fog, there's called volumetric fog. Like you can search volumetric in the search panel here, and you will see volumetric fog. This is just something that's more, I guess, realistic. If you can check it, you can see the slightly difference changing the sky. That's what the volumetric fog does. It just, I guess it's just add an extra layer of fog into the level, and you can change its color. Yeah, to whatever color you want, like yellowish color. And also, yeah, there's just tons of different specs in the detail panel that can change. And also, that's for the fog. And for the directional lights, there's a shortcut to change the position of the sun. If you hold Control and L key together, you will have this little sphere that you can change the direction of the sunlight by moving your mouth. You can change it to whatever position you want, and also you can change the intensity of the sunlight by dragging the intensity in the detail panel. You can also change the color, make it bluish or red, and source angle is just how big the sun is if you drag it. So there's really lots of control that you can play with to have a desirable environment that you want. For now, we're just doing the outside environment because we have a sky, we have a sun. Let us look at some indoor lighting. For now, I'm gonna delete the directional lights to. Actually, let's also delete the fog because it's kind of weird. So right now we have a completely dark scene. So in your place actor panel, you click this light bulb, and this is all different kinds of lights. This where we drag the directional lights into the level, and below it you also have point light, spotlight, and rec light. Let's try point light first. Point light is just something you can imagine. It's just like a light bulb. It will dispense the lights to all directions, like 360-degree. It is nice because you can light up a scene very quickly, but it's also very heavy because it has lights in all directions. Let me hide it by click this eye icon in the outliner. We hide it for now. So let's check what spotlight does. So spotlight is different from the point light. It will just give you the lights in one direction. So it's more saving your performance. And right now it looks like a stage play right now. So that's what the spotlight does. And let me hide the spotlights. Oh, actually, let me reopen the spotlight. So you can see the shadow here for this cube. It's very, very, very sharp. It's like too harsh, the shadow. I don't really like it. So that's one kind of drawback for the spotlights. Let's hide it for now and drag the third kind of indoor lighting, which is the rec light. Rec light, exactly as it sounds like, it's just a rectangular light. But the good thing about it, it creates a soft shadow. Look at how the shadow changed from these sharp edges to these soft edges when you change the light from spotlight to rec light. And here in the detail panel, you can also like how you change directional light in the outer door in the outdoor scene. You can also change the intensity of it, change the color of it. Attenuation radius is just how wide, how big that light is. Source width, it's the width of the lights, and the height. The barn door, it's just look at it kind of open and close. If I adjust the barn door angle, yes, just play with these different settings to until you have something you like. Yeah, that's for the indoor light. Any question for them? No. Okay. Let's go to. So yeah, these are just some basic of how to navigate around the space, how to build a simple scene, how to create lights. And let me drink some water before we dive into blueprints. So right now I only have a cube that's not moving at all. So why don't we make it move? Like when I was performing, I'm pressing a keyboard and kind of move or become larger or smaller. Let's do that now. So I want to do something with this cube. Let me adjust the lights a little bit first. Make it look. Okay. So, if you want to do anything interactive with anything, with the actor in the scene, we need to create a blueprint. And the way of creating a blueprint is, um, if you are already have something in the level, you click it, highlight it, and under the detail panel, there's this very little tab beside, like next to the add button, a very little button here that's a convert this actor into a reusable blueprint. You click that, and you can name it as BPQ. And by the way, this is the naming convention of the Unreal. If it's a blueprint, you say BP and underscore and whatever name it is. So in the folder, we'll help you better to find that thing. If you have a million of these kind of things in your folder, and you want to where do you want to save it? I kind of want to create a new folder here called my maybe blueprints. Okay. And I just click select, and now I have my name, I have the location I want to save as. Here I just select new subclass, keep everything that way. Okay, so little slow. So now a new window open, and that's my blueprints window. So usually it's my personal preference. I like to dock it to, I like to drag and drop it to the same kind of level as my level tab. So have these two together here to keep things organized. Right now you can have there's a 3 tab here. One is a viewport. In the viewport, you can basically like change the shape of it, change it to a different mesh. If you want to like do something like this, you can also do that. Also change the material here on the right hand side. But what we're gonna focus on now is go to the event graph on the top. So in the event graph, there are three nodes that is grayed out because you are not connecting it to anything. The first one, let's ignore this one. So these two, event began play and event tick, these two are similar to let me open the P file. Anyone know JavaScript? Okay. So I think this will better explain what these are. So you can see this is JavaScript. It has a function setup, which only run once when you begin the program, and there's a function draw which runs run all the time. So these are the two main function of this P5 JavaScript. And in Unreal Engine, this is similar. Begin play, they only run once. Event tick, event tick, it runs forever. So try to be careful when you are using event tick because it runs forever, which means it's heavy, it costs performance. But let's delete these two for now because we don't need these two for now. Right now, let's think about what we really want to do. For example, when I click a key on my keyboard, for example, which key should I click? When I click 0 key on my keyboard, I want this cube to become larger, like 2 times its scale. Like the scale here, I want it to be like 2 by 2 by 2 rather than 1 by 1 by 1. And how do we do that? It's the same as writing any code. You need to have the logic first before you even start to write it. So the first thing is remember what I just said. I want to press a key and have something happen. So first of all, I need to have a key here, right? How do we have a key? You right click the empty space, and you will find there's a library of search bar. You can search for anything that's already included in the Unreal Blueprint. What I want to search is 0, because 0 is what I want to use for this event to happen. I click it, and now I have a 0 key. That's the first step of doing this interaction based on the logic that I just think of. When I press 0, that cube get 2 times larger. So, and the next step is get it 2 times larger, right? So how do we get it 2 times larger? There's something called set scale and size for set. Set actor scale. Set actor scale. So there's hundreds and thousands different functions in this blueprint library, and you cannot possibly remember everything. So what I usually does is I'm just trying to guess what that is. For example, I want to increase the scale. Usually I just search for scale here. And I know the cube is the actor, so kind of I want to search actor scale. So I have the set actor scale 3D. I click it. And now I have to connecting these two together, right? So when I press this, you notice that there's a press one. When I press that, I want to activate this set actor scale 3D. This white line, if you hover over it, you will see the execution. The white line and the white dots are execution pin. You can imagine something like to do something. It's the just execute that command. You have to connect the white line for it to work. So when you press a set a scale of something, that thing is a target. And the target itself, it's a self because right now we are in this cube blueprint. We don't have to say we want the target to be something else because we're at this cube. So we don't have to connect target to anything. And for the new scale, you can do like 2, 2, 2, as I just said, maybe. And after that, I think we're all set for this. You click compile on the top right side, and usually you save your movement, and you go back to your level. You hit play here, this play button here, and you click 0, and nothing happened. Why there's nothing happened? Because in an actor blueprint, you have to give it the control in order for it to work. And if you go to the class defaults, class setting, if you go to class default, you can search for inputs. And you can see there's an auto receive inputs. It says disable. So you have to change disable to player 0 in order for this actor to receive any input from your keyboard for it to work. It is very important. Change auto receive input to player 0, and then you can hit play here. Open a smaller window, but it's the same. And then when I press 0, it becomes larger. So, any question for now? It all work? Yeah. Yeah. I'll cover that. So, it's actually a good question. Will we actually want to make it grow? So right now it increased by 2, but if we wanted to make it grow, we need to let me think. That's a further step now. So let's make it every time I press when I press it, you only grow 1 time, right? Now let's make it every time I press it, it grows a little bit. So in order for it to happen, we need to know what the current scale of the cube is before we multiply that scale with the number, right? So how do we get the current scale of the cube? Let's search. What should we search? Get actor scale. So here, get actor scale 3D. It just gives you the current scale of the cube, and its return value is just its current scale. So when we get the current scale, we want to kind of, because we want to increase the size, right? We want to multiply it. What I do is drag here and release my mouse. And from here, I just type a multiply button here. And we multiply it by something like two. And then the result of this multiplication, I drag and drop it. I connect it to the new scale in the second actor scale. Let's try it to see if that works. Every time I press 0, it will become larger and larger. Yeah, it worked. So basically what I do here is I get the scale at times 2 and I set the scale. It's kind of straightforward, but right now it's still not increasing gradually, kind of having this kind of jumping glitch, right? And so in order to have it to change gradually, frame by frame, we need to use the event tick that we just talked about at the beginning. So you right click the empty space, you search for event tick. Because remember, event tick happen every frame, right? It runs constantly. So we kind of need the help of the event tick to make it grow kind of gradually when you press a key. How are we going to use tick? Oops. Sorry, I forgot how to do that. Event tick, you set. Give me a second, I need to open the reference because I kind of forgot how to do it. 就是用那个 event tick。So let me take a look at my reference that I did yesterday. Okay, it's kind of hard to do. Okay, so what we want to do here is when we are pressing the key, we have to detect if we are pressing the key first. There's something called is influence. Key So when I search for its input key down, I couldn't find it. The reason is I have this context sensitive checked. So the context sensitive really kind of filter through everything that's relevant to this context only. So if I want to find have a complete library of everything and I search within it, I need to uncheck it. And once I uncheck it, I can find this is input key is done because it's kind of this one is an uncommon nodes that people usually don't use. So is input key down kind of check if one of the key is being pressed. And now here I can select which key that is. So that should be my 0 key. I just type 0 here. And here. So the return value is a Boolean variable. It will return true if I'm pressing 0 key. And it's false if I'm pressing the other key. So we drag this return value here. And we need to search for something called a branch. It's like an if statement. The if statement in Unreal really need to have the branch nodes in order for it to work. So every frame when the event take happen, I check if I'm pressing the 0 key. If it's true, I'm gonna do something with it. So okay, let's fix a little bit. So So what I want to do here is just what I did before. Set the actor scale. I can copy and paste. You can copy and paste this part except for the 0 key. Copy and paste these two. Sorry, it's a little messy. Let me drag it to here. So only when this is true that I set a scale to 2 times larger. Okay, it says there's an arrow here because here once you hit compile, if you have arrow, it will show this red line here to say if failed to compile, you have to fix that arrow. It has arrow here because we need a target here. There's no target for this node, so here we need to find get player controller. So without even knowing what the solution is, you can hover over this target here. You said it needs a player controller object reference. That's why we need this player controller nodes and to connect to this for it to work. Now, if I hit compile, the error is gone, but so player controller has an error. Let me check. So weird. Why? Maybe I haven't dragged the target to get. Okay, it's kind of a weird thing that Unreal does. If you directly search for player character here and you drag it connected to the target, it will show you an arrow. But if you drag from the target here, release your mouse and search for get player controller, it won't work. So it's just a little tiny detail of how the blueprint works sometimes. And right now, if you click play, now it's error free and you press 0 key. Oh, it's kind of it disappeared because the multiplier is kind of too large. Because remember, event tick happen every frame. So once I press it immediately increase the size of the cube to multiple 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. It immediately get very large. So let's make it smaller. For example, 1.01. One. And after that, click play. Pressing 0 key. So still jumping around. Well, let's turn around a bit. Okay, yeah, it's just a glitch, I think. So if you keep pressing the 0 key, you have to click it first. Yeah, just increase continuously. But the problem right now is if you release the 0 key and you press it again, it still it will jumps its size also. So let me think if there's a way to solve this. Any question for now? So yeah, before we do that, let's because right now I'm just notice here I'm hard coding the multiplier here. So I want to do something else like introducing what a variable is. Here on the left side, you can see there's a variable tab. You click the plus sign to make a variable. And let's name it as scale. L key doesn't work very well. Scale multiplier. And here you can select the variable type by choosing the drop-down menu here. Because it has three x, y, z value, so it should be a vector here. Because they have three value here, x, y, and z. So once I create a variable, I drag and drop it. Let me do that again. I drag it here and it will show me get the multiplier or set multiplier. If I get it, I'm just getting whatever value I store in here. If I'm setting it, I can change the value whatever is storing here. But for now, we just only need a get. On the right hand side, there's a detail panel. There's a default value I can set. But it says please compile the bootstrap first. So I need to compile first. And then we can set the value to what's the value we have? 1.01. So right now I set the value to be exactly same as this. And let's plug it in here. So it basically works the same. It's just I'm not hard coding anything. Another benefit of having a variable is I can reference it somewhere else. So for example, if I do something, I want to change the value of the multiplier somewhere else, I can do that. If I'm just hard coding it in, and I'm not able to do that. So that's a good thing about having a variable. Just check. So let's try that again. It should be work the same as before. Yeah. Yeah, so the queue is gradually increasing. So let's delete these because here's the reason why I see. Here's the reason why every time I press 0 key, it will increase like before. Because I forgot to delete what we did before. Set the actual scale every time I press it. So if I want to solve this bug, I can simply disconnect this line. The way to disconnect any connection is right click the nodes here and break the link. Or you can just highlight the line and press Alt key and click it, and you will just disappear. So now let's see it. Press 0 key, you will just increase like gradually without like jumping the size right now. So, okay, so now it become larger. I kind of also wanted to make it smaller. How do we do that? Let's delete this part first. So these parts is only what we had. Any question for now? No, okay. So, so notice here that I'm checking the true or false of the if I'm pressing the 0 key. So if I'm pressing it, I'm increasing the scale. And here's also a false node, which means that if I'm not pressing it, I want to do something, which is to decrease the scale. But you will run into another problem. Let's try that for now. If it is false, if I'm not pressing the 0 key, set actor scale. Set actor scale 3D. It's the same as above. And the target is the self and the new scale. So let me copy and paste this part here. The only difference is rather than multiply it, we want to divide it. So let's delete that, drag it here, take the divide nodes, and connect it here. So if I'm not pressing the key, it will divide it the same number and apply it to the scale of the cube. So let's see. See, the problem is even if I'm not pressing anything, it's shrinking. When I'm pressing the 0 key right now, it's become larger. Once I'm release it, it's shrinking. So how do we prevent it from shrinking when we are not pressing the key? Let's see. Okay. I guess it's kind of unnecessary to just have a 0 key as the only one control. So the way around this is just to introduce a different key to just make a size smaller. For example, what's next to the 0 key? It's 9 key. What about when I press 9? It will decrease in size. So let's delete these parts. Let's not delete these parts. Let's just disconnect this for now, so it won't be running when actually play. So right now, what I want to do is when I press 9 key, when I press 9, we will decrease its size. Let's click 9 here. So we'll find the 9. Oh, actually, let's use the same methods as we used before because we want to gradually decrease it. Let's copy this part because this part tells us which key we want to check if we are pressing. Let's change this drop down to 9. And you may think, let's just copy and paste everything above and just change it from 0 to 9 and change the multiply from multiply to divide. But actually, we can only have one event tick in one blueprint. If I want to have another event tick here, for example, if I right click, search for event tick, it will just lead me to where the event tick I already have. So the way to do this is adding an extra nodes before you checking if you're pressing 0 key, and that is called sequence. A sequence, it's just tell you to do something first and then to do something later. So first, I want to check if the 0 key is pressed, and after I do that, I'll check if the 9 key is pressed. So I drag off this then 1 note here, and I type the branch notes here. And connected to the checking of the 9 key here as the condition. And if it's true, if I'm pressing the 9, I make the cube smaller. So here's a complete what the notes looks like. Let's see if that works. So it's no longer shrinking. If I'm not doing anything. So press 0, become larger. And press 9, will shrink in size. So yeah, that's a scale. Any question? Okay, you might notice for the cube, what time is it? 5:50. Oh, we have only 10 minutes. 15. Okay. We have 30 minutes. So for the cube, here we have three different things we can change. We can change the scale, which we just did. We can also change location or rotation here. So why don't we try the rotation first? Let us think of a different key, like for example, R, which stands for rotation. Let's find the R key on our keyboard. So when I press the R key, I want to make the cube rotate. And it's just, how do we do that? So it's when we can drag off the press. When we press it, we can, just like we set the actor scale, we can also set the actor rotation. So we search for set actor rotation. Here. And we can have a new rotation, for example, 45x. See what it looks like. Okay, it doesn't work when I press R key, and it's also having a lot of error message. Okay, this is an important part because it says your component has to be movable if you like to move. That makes sense, right? You have to be movable if you like to move. So how do we change the cube to something movable? Let's go to class setting. No, actually class defaults. I think we can see at the top, there's something called mobility and set to static. Static means that you cannot move it, and also you cannot change the property of it. I have a chart about this here. So you can see if it's static, can it move? No. Can you change its property? Also no. What does it mean by property? Property is just the color of it. Maybe the brightness of it. It's the light bulb. We can also set it to stationary, but it's also not desirable because stationary, you can change the property, but it cannot move. Stationary, it's for like a light bulb which fixed in one place, cannot move, but you can change the brightness of it. What we really want to do is to make it movable. If we make something movable, you can move it around. You can also change the color or the brightness of it. So let's go back to we have. Yeah. Yeah. So let's change this from static to movable, and let's run it again. And when this time when we click R, it will rotate. Another thing I want to talk about in Blueprint is here, if you make the window smaller and you press your keyboard, you can see the line is flowing here. It's a good way to use for debugging. Sometimes it's flowing. It's working if it's flowing. If it's not working, there won't be this like orange line coming through from the R key to the set axis rotation here. So it's a way to look at for debugging for you. So here, we want to when we press a key, we will rotate, and we press it again, you will rotate again. So it's the same as changing the scale. We need to get the current rotation value of the cube. Let's get actor rotation. Get actor rotation here, and then we want to maybe plus. We want to add that. Oops. Okay, before we add this, we need to do something else. Here in the return value here, you can right click it, and there's something to split struct pin. This is because rotation has three different ways of rotation, right? You can roll, you can pitch, you can yaw. Which rotation we want to do? For example, we want to do the roll. When I press a key, I want to plus that roll value by something like 30. So I click plus. I add that by like 30. And you may think, oh, I can just press it directly to the new rotation value, but no, because we have split the whole rotation into three different rotation parameter, roll, pitch, and yaw, for the inputs, which means that for the output here, we also need to split it. And we can have roll, pitch, and yaw in the output. If you want to recombine it, you can also right click, recombine it. But for now, I'll just split that. After that, you can plug that into the roll value because I'm adding the roll value of the rotation. Let's click play and see if I press R, the cube will rotate around the cube. There's also a way to make it rotate continuously, but much easier than use the event tick and set a scale, because there's something called forgot what I set. So okay, it's called add rotating movement components. Again, if you have context sensitive, you may not find it, but this time you can find it. Add movement components. On the right hand side, the detail panel, you can set the rotation rate, which is the speed of an actor rotates. For example, I set the X value to 30. And how do I want to control it? I'll maybe pressing the O key. Let's see. If I press O, it will make the cube start to rotate by itself. Press O. Yeah, it will just rotate it that way. I'm adding a speed to that rotation. If I'm keep pressing it, it will rotate faster and faster because I'm keep adding that 30 speeds to the rotation of the Y to the X axis. You can also slow it down by pressing a different key, like K. copy and paste this. When I press K key, I want to slow it down because it's rotating too fast. Yeah, just change it to -30. Let's see. Why is 180? Yep. So press O. Go start rotate and faster and faster and faster. I press K key. We'll slow down. And eventually we'll goes to the other direction. Press O, slow down. Goes one direction. Any question for now? Let's make it more fun. Notice when I press R key, I make it rotate. I can also add something like play a sound. Why don't we have a sound when we rotate them? So there's something called play sound 2D. I can select what do we want to select? Like explosion. So when I rotate, you will play the sound if I rotate. What else interesting thing we can do? So other than playing the sound, so it has an explosion sound. We can also add the visual effects of explosion. There's some building visual effect in our engine that we can use. So let's keep dragging this line to I think it's called spawn. Spawn effects. Oh, spawn emitter and location. And here I want to select a template. It's called P explosion. And where do I want to spawn it? I have to specify the location of it. And I want you to spawn at the location of the cube. I don't want you to spawn a random place like 000. I want to be exactly at the cube. So remember that we can get the actor rotation here. We can also get this location. After we get the location, we can connect this return value to the location here. And let's see how it looks. Let's press R key. You can see a little spark coming from the bottom, yeah. Why not to make it smaller maybe? So the explosion should be more visible, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's more fun than just rotating a cube. The other thing I noticed is that my cube is kind of floating in the air right now. I'm pressing the R. Yeah, it's kind of floating in the air. Why not to give it some gravity to make it looks more like a real cube in the real life. So let's go to class defaults. Here under the physics in the detail panel, there's something called simulate physics. Right, check this. Check this, and then I hit play. You all notice that the cube kind of dropped to the ground once I play it. And now if I hit R, you all simulate the physics of the a cube interacting with the floor. It looks like the explosion caused the cube to bump and rotate a little bit, but actually it's separate, right? We just create a rotation and explosion as two separate parts. It's not a, but it looks like the explosion caused the rotation. Pretty cool. So what else could we make it more interesting? To change what? Oh, I think I'm gonna talk about that in the next session. Next session we can talk about camera, also sequencer, how to like have a camera track to make the camera rotate around something, and also click different key to change the camera angle. Yeah, because there's a lot to talk about. But right now I kind of want to change the cube to something else. Because it looks so primitive. It's just the basic cube in the level. So here, still remember the place actor panel here, the plus sign and the cube here. If you click that, you can see Unreal Marketplace here in the drop-down menu. Guys, click it. Sometimes it doesn't open, but if it doesn't open, we can just go to the, when you will download this Epic Game Launcher. You open this Epic Game Launcher and take a while. And here you go to the marketplace. In the marketplace, there's just tons of assets. They're free assets. They're also paid access. I'm slow. Why like reopen it? Because I really want to show you the marketplace. Okay, there may be some bugs I couldn't open the marketplace, but you can open it yourself. So every month we will have some free assets. Oh, here we go. We opened it. Most of them you need to buy them, but here you have free for the month. There are tons of assets like buildings, animation, different characters, scary fish. And here you have a free tab. You can just click it. There's just tons of free assets for you to download. You can just add it, and then once you download the project, it will be in your library, in your vaults. These are all the assets that I have downloaded before, and you can just click add to your project and select the project you want to add it to. Okay, that's for the marketplace. There's a different place where you can get free assets, which is even more amazing. Still you click this panel and you go to Quixel Bridge, which is just above the marketplace, on the marketplace, Quixel Bridge. You go there and it will open a new tab here. So Quixel Bridge used to be its own company, but it's bought by Epic Game a few years ago. You used to have to pay a lot of money for their assets because they all photogrammetry assets, which means that they actually went to the real location or take the real stuff and take photos of, scan them, and put them into the virtual space. But now, if you have Unreal Engine, it's completely free for use. If I search for 3D assets here, you can see there's tons of assets here. Let's choose one that we want to use instead of our cube. First song. Let's. What about this donuts? If you choose after you choose your assets, you can select the quality here from low to high. But there's also a quality setting in some assets that's called nanite. Nanite is just, you can understand it as the highest quality. But for now, I can just download medium quality donuts here. I don't need too high quality assets for now. Click download. Okay, once they finish downloading, you go to the local tab on the left side. You click it, it will shows all the assets you have downloaded previously. And you will have a check mark beside it. And here you can click the add button here. Once you click it, your content browser will pops up on the screen. It means that it have been added to your content browser in the project you are working on. So if you open your browser, you will find a new folder called Megascans. In the 3D assets, you have your donuts. So back to our cube. In the viewport, we want to swap this cube to the donut which is downloaded. So here in the detail panel, you can see the static mesh. We want to change this mesh to the donuts. Let's just search the donuts mesh. It's pretty small. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, if after which the mesh is like the skeleton of something. It doesn't have the skin, so that's why it looks white. So we want to make it look like a donut. We also need to change the material to the donut material. So we search for donuts. Now it looks more like a donut. And maybe we can scale it to make it. Sometimes I couldn't click it. Never mind. But right now, if I click compile, my cube becomes a donut in the space, but it's very small. But luckily, if I click play, oops, did it just penetrate the okay? Let's actually make it larger. Could change the scale. Let's make it 5 by 5 by 5 in terms of the scale. Compile, save. Penetrate the floor. Something weird is happening. I think. Okay, the reason it's penetrate the floor is I'm guessing here. It doesn't have a collision. Collision is something. It's like a outer layer of your skin that if two things like collide with each other, if you have collision, it will bounce off each other, right? If you don't have a collision, they will just penetrate through each other like nothing happened. So let's check for this donuts. Also, you can see the simulate physics. It used to be white, but now it grays out. This could be another reason why we don't have collision on these donuts. So because we don't have collision, we cannot simulate physics. So let's double click the mesh here. We will enter a detail panel for this mesh. So and here at the top, there's a collision drop-down menu. We can add a simple box collision and we will just add a box around it. But if you want it to be more accurate, let's remove this for now. You can add this 18 DOP simplified collision or 26. You will have a more complex like an outline for the layer of this donut. So now our donut have collision. Let's save it. Okay. Save it and let's go back to it. Now you can see the simulate physics. It's all. It's not grayed out anymore because now we have collision. And now we play it. Still penetrate the floor. It's kind of weird. Why don't we just place it on the floor to see if it's still penetrated? Okay. Okay, I don't know why that happened, but I'm just putting it lower rather than so high. Sometimes maybe the collision of the floor, the floor maybe doesn't have a collision, so it's still penetrated. When you simulate the physics, when something drops down from a high, it will give its velocity. When the velocity is too high, I think it will penetrate like a bullet, so it's not 100% realistic, but for now I'm just placing it lower. Let's see if all the control are still working. Press 0, it become larger. You can see it's pretty detailed, the donuts. Larger, smaller, you press R. You rotate, you can bombard the donuts. Okay, it disappeared. Guess what time is it? Okay, still got time. So one last thing I want to show you. It's I want to have more donuts out of this single donut. It's just like when pressing doing the performance, when pressing a key, there'll be cubes spawning. So we're gonna talk about how to spawn a new thing into the level. Which key I want to press? For example, let's use F key. I'm just randomly choosing keys that are available on my keyboard. For example, if I press F key, I want to spawn a new donuts to the level. So let's search for spawn actor from class, connecting to the F key. And what do we want to spawn? We have to select class here. So because this donut, it's inside this BPQ blueprint, so we actually have to search for BPQ. We should name it BP donuts to make it more clear, but for now, just BBQ is fine. And also we just specify which the location where it's spawning. The location where we want to spawn. We want to spawn it at the wherever that donut is. So we want to get actor transformed actually. So remember, transform is actually a combination of all these three variable: location, rotation, and scale. But you can also get each individual one. But for now, I'm just getting all of them. Connecting this to get actor transform. Let's see if that works. So one press F key. Oh my goodness. I don't know what's happening, but it's kind of working, but I don't know why it's so large. Something's going wrong with the transform. Let's change the scale back to 1 to see what's happening there. Where's the donuts here? Press F. Okay. That's it. Okay, so it works, but I'm spawning donuts into the same location. So they're all like scattered together. We couldn't see donuts. So we kind of want to shoot the donut out to the sky so they're not in the same place together. So let's after we spawn them, we need to add an impulse, I think. Add an impulse to the static mesh components. Static mesh component is just, as we talk about the mesh is just the skeleton, the flesh of an actor. So by adding the impulse to that donut, and let's make the X value like larger, like 1,000. Let's see. So right now, when I click, where's the donut? Donut just disappeared. Okay. I think it still drops under the floor. Let's make this scale larger here. Okay, press F. Like the other donut just pops out from the previous one. It's like rather than stacking together, they're now in a different location, like whatever donut you want to do. We can also make it more random because right now it's all have the same impulse. So let's add a random variable here. It's called random integer in range. Let's make the range from 1,000 to like 5,000. I don't know. And so basically it's like the random number, a random integer from this range. And then we add that into the impulse. Actually, before we add that, I kind of want to split it because if we directly plug into it, we're adding the number to X, Y, and Z. They're all the same. But for now, I just want to add an X impulse to make it go up. So let's connect it to only the X, but not all of them. That's why I split the struct P. Now if I play see the donuts here, press F. I think every time they all have a different impulse. Yeah, sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. It's different. Another fun thing I want to show is in the class defaults. There's something under the physics. Other than after you simulate physics, you can also play with gravity. Right now, I have gravity. That's why they're all on the floor right now. If I disable the gravity, see what's happened. It's still sitting there, but if I press F, we'll just fly away. It's already kind of an interesting visual, I guess. It's like donuts floating the infinity dark universe right now. Yeah. I'm just clicking F and spawning all these donuts and make them floating. Right. Imagine what kind of music could accompany this. Now they all disappeared. So if I'm keep pressing F all the time, there'll be hundreds of thousands of donuts and eventually it will crash my engine. So we also need to find a way to clean up, to delete donuts, especially when they float to somewhere that we cannot see it. So how about when we press X key, we delete everything. Like when we press the delete actor, and the target is just self because we are in our own blueprints right now. So let's see if that works. Press F to have more donuts. And press X. You see the donut kind of disappear one by one. One press X. Let's actually enable the gravity for now because I don't want them to fly away. Press F, all these donuts, and then I thought it's too much donuts here. Press X to delete them so that it won't crash your laptop by having too many donuts in your lap. But right now I'm just deleting them one by one. What about deleting them once for all? Like everything by pressing delete everything by pressing one key. Every donut. Right now it says destroy actor, but before we destroy actor, we can actually to get all actor of class. This node gets all the actor from this blueprint cube class, which is all the donuts. And here the alt actors are all the donuts that we have in the level. We make this the target that we want to destroy. Now let's take a look. Press F, bunch of donuts, and press X to make all of them disappear. Uh, yeah. Also, I kind of interested to see after I have a bunch of donut when I press R, what will happen? It will only happen to the original donuts to make it rotate. So if we want to make everything rotate and explode and play the music, we can also use this methods of get all actor of the class in our where do we have the explosion effects? In here, let's try when we press R key, we want to have every donut rotate and explode and play the explosion sound. Get all actor of class. And have this as a target. I do this. No, they doesn't allow me to do this. Maybe this is not a way. I have to think of another way, but for now, yeah, it is what it is. The donuts could be floating or not. Can explode. Can multiply. And I want to show you something else. Yeah, I guess that's all the thing I want to teach for today, and let's see if we have covered everything. Play some, yes, early management. Oh, one more thing I want to say before we end the session is that the blueprint will quickly get really messy when you have a bunch of noodles. So one way to organize them is by, for example, this part is responsible for spawning new donuts. I can left click and circle all of them and press C on my keyboard. Circle all of them, highlight all of them, press C on the keyboard, and that's a comment. I can write spawn donuts here. And I can give comments for everything in my blueprints to keep them well organized. So the second time I come to this product, if I see it, I will not lost. So always keep it organized and properly comment, just like when you are writing the traditional code, word by word, line by line. Yeah. So eventually, what we learned today, like how to make things rotate, how to make things scaling them up, or even how to move them ups and down. I haven't told that now, but it's the same method. That's how to rotate and how to spawning things, how to make a sound when something come out, and when you press something, and also how to destroy it to prevent your blueprint from crashing. All these methods can ultimately be used for those short performance like this. This is something that I built like last semester, just for fun. Every time you make it larger or smaller, you'll have a music sounds playing, and when you're rotating it, you will accompany with the little sound. And you can make it higher. I already forgot all the control that I have here. I'm just guessing which keyboard hits which. Okay, there's background music playing. You can throw caterpillar out in the sky. You can also blow. Don't know when. It's pretty epic background music. Yeah, if you would like to do something like this at the end of the ITP Cam as your performance piece, I guess that's enough for that. It's getting too loud. Yeah, that's this is everything we learned today, right? Like make it rotate, make it except for how to make it glow, we can cover that next class because it has to deal with the material. We have to make our customized material and make it shiny. And feeling I'm a DJ and a VJ at the same time. Like there's a how do I make it loud? Oh, okay. Okay, like make it super large. And yeah, a huge explosion at the end. That's it. That's what you can do with what you learned today. And next session, we'll talk about how to use camera, change camera angle. We'll introduce sequencer. Sequencer is something, it's kind of like a video editing software inside Unreal Engine that you can make different cuts. It's being used a lot in the virtual production space. And we can also talk more about VFX and more advanced topic in the blueprints. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's downstairs.
Yeah, Coco is teaching motion capture workshop. Any question? Yeah. Yeah, I used Unity before. Actually, before I started learning Unreal, I used Unity. But I once started using it, I just find Unreal is just my preference, so I started using Unreal. I can share the syllabus that I wrote. Yeah, here I have two. I'll add more resources into it. These are just two courses I really like that I took. One's on Udemy, one's on Skillshare. That you need to pay for the course, but it's very cheap. The one on Udemy is like $15-20, I think. And or if you're buying course on Udemy, they kind of sometimes they show you it's $100. Never buy $100 course because once in a while they will have their so-called discount, which is just a marketing strategy they use. So always buy the course on Udemy when they have the discounts. I'm not advertising, but this course is very good. This course just teach everything about blueprints from start to finish. It's a 20-hour course. If you're really into Unreal Engine and how to programming using Blueprint, I really recommend it. For what? WebGL export. That I'm not really sure. I'm not very. I don't usually export stuff out of Unreal. I still yet to learn that part. It's a big part to exporting stuff. There are different ways to do that. For now, I'm focusing on like real time stuff. Like everything's happened inside the engine when I click the thing. I can look that up for that. Talk about it next week.
Will you share the project?
Yeah, I can share the project.
Because I just finally got, I thought I had it.
Oh, which projects? The one that we did together. Okay, the donuts one.
We're gonna continue with this one.
The donuts one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. Oh, Unreal? No, you don't need to download Xcode, only when you are writing the program in C++, like the traditional way of programming, you need to download Xcode. Oh. Uh, maybe I'm not sure what's happening on Mac platform. Oh, yeah, maybe you should download it. Oh, because Unreal is pretty heavy. Yeah. Yeah, I would suggest you to borrow a laptop in ER. They have pretty good laptop, like 3080 like GPU, which is pretty good. Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.